Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here with a fun knife comparison video for you. Unlike a lot of other comparison videos, I'm actually going to be comparing three of the same knife. What you see in front of you is the Brown Knives Servo. I recently published the video on my own particular servo, which you can see at the bottom here, which is a very special knife to me. But I wanted to talk about the minor differences that are going on between the different versions of the servo and talk about sort of the amazing things that Craig is doing to constantly improve his knives. Now, I touched on this subject briefly when I unboxed my Koenig Arius here. Bill Koenig is also one of the small manufacturers out there that's able to constantly improve his knives and make small adjustments almost on the fly. Now, Craig, being a very small-time operator, making a handful of knives a year, as of this one, this was the number 13 servo, he's able to make modifications and adjustments and improvements on a knife-to-knife basis. And so I wanted to share with you a little bit about what's going on. Maybe as a preface, you could go back and watch the two videos done by a couple of great YouTube guys, Jim Skelton and Epic Snuggle Bunny, who did amazing videos on the Brown Knife Servo. Now, they had models number 1 and 2, and so their models were at the very beginning and had some of the first, I will call it, generation features, and some things have changed since then. So let's go ahead and talk about these knives. I've sort of arranged them in levels of complexity. If we just pretend that the blade steels are all equivalent, we can talk about the varying levels of options that are available for the servos and where the knife has come and where it is going to. So let's go ahead and start out with my buddy Nicos knife. This belongs to Today's Grail Tomorrow's Beater. Thank you so much, Nico, for sending this one along. This was the first of the 3 servos that I actually received. This one has a beautiful Damasteel blade. The options include Damasteel like this. This is Thor Damasteel. And then there was an option for RWL 34, the other steel produced by Damasteel over there in Austria. So the other thing, the problem was that Craig was having trouble making RWL blades. For whatever reason, during some process of the heat treat, they were developing some issues, and so he's actually, as of today, not using RWL, and my blade came in CPM 154, a little bit more of a reliable steel for Craig over there. So that was one area of change that has already happened. What you can also see is that this handle has a rather plain finish. This is a simple stonewash. Nico intended for this knife to be a high-end carry knife, an everyday user knife, and so he opted for a rather plain finish. Now, there is another level above this knife without adding any more inlays or anything, and this is something new that Craig is developing. This is Craig's personal, what he calls his beater servo. This is sort of the test bed knife where Craig is constantly applying his new techniques and his new finishes so that he can see if it'll work in the real world. And this one has a new milling pattern on the handle. So this one has some beautifully done 3D milling. The lines are just spectacular on this. I love the way that this sort of central line is not perfectly straight. It follows all the way back and splits his very unique logo, which is on the back, which you can see is changed even from Nico's knife right here. As a matter of fact, it's changed even from my knife right here. So mine has the box around it, and his does not. Now, you can talk to him about possibly speccing out your own milling pattern, which is what he did for me on my knife. Now, Epic Snuggle Bunny also had his logo emblazoned on the knife, but Craig was nice enough to go ahead and do a full-on milling pattern. I'm trying to look for a cloth here to clean off my my pivot so that it looks beautiful. He did a milling pattern on the pivot, which is a skull, and then this gorgeous spinal milling pattern on the handles. This is truly unique to my knife, but he has such CNC prowess that if you're able to send him an image file or some sort of an idea of what you want, he might be able to produce it on your knife. So some of the other options that you can see, if I were to flip this guy over right here, is in some of the sort of finishes on the smaller pieces, on the accent pieces. So as you can see here, Nico went for the matching stone-washed clip. They all come with a 3D milled clip like this. One of the new upgrades as compared to the first two knives from Skelton and Austin over there is this over travel stop, a Lockbar stabilizer, what have you. Some of the earlier knives that were received, people complained a little bit that the Lockbar tension was so low that they were very easily over traveling their lock bars, and they were worried about wearing out the lock bar too early or reducing the tension at the lock interface. So he has since added this branded, sort of labeled Servo over travel disc right there. Rather hinderer-ish, but it does work very nicely, and it does show the name of the knife right there. So I think that that's an elegant solution right there. And what it allows is for some interesting finishing options. Both of these have the blackened Timascus that is then anodized green. Perhaps he made this one first and then he made mine. I'm not entirely sure. But I went ahead and opted to upgrade all of the hardware to have this Timascus that he ended up blackening and then anodizing green. So these can come in Damasteel to match your blade. They can be done in Timascus or whatever you want. Another level beyond the handle milling patterns right here would be to opt for some window patterns. Now, both Jim and Austin elected to go with that. I wasn't a huge fan of the way that looked, so I chose to get a milling pattern. And he's about to have a few more milling options available, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I know a few of you are very interested in these knives. Some of the other things that have changed, what you can see here at the interface right here at the lock bar is that he had a rather unique lock bar cutout right there. I think it was rather small. Now my thumb, that's pretty much exactly where my thumb goes to disengage this thing, and it's quite comfortable. But I think that a few people mentioned that they would have liked to see a slightly different sort of lock bar cutout. And so when it came time for my build up to number 13, he definitely changed that up. So not only is the lock bar changed, but there's actually a full cutout divot right there so that the thumb can actually get in there much more easily. And it is very nice. It's very easy to disengage. While I don't think this was too much of a problem, I think this is a little bit nicer because it allows your thumb to really dig in there and then close the knife. Some of the other things that will be changing, he may be adding that sort of milling to the flipper tab area, a la Shirogorov, where they have a little milling cutout right here. I can bring out my Koenig knives Arius again to sort of demonstrate that right here. That there's a little milled area on the spine of the blade here, on the spine of the handle there, for the finger to rest, and it's just a little bit more comfortable. So definitely looking forward to seeing what he has in store there. So not only can he change all of those things, he's changed the lock interface, he's changed the fact that there's now a detent ball ramp, and something that he has done on a few of the knives, it's on Nicos' knife right here, and it may be difficult for me to show you guys, but there is, ooh, I hit my camera, there is a flattened detent ball on the inside of the knife there. I'm not sure how well that's going to come across in the video, but if you look at the detent ball, Nicos is actually shaved flat, and it does make for a nice, smooth little finish right there. Now, mine was not shaved smooth, and neither is the beater model right here. When it came time to do my build, he kind of had lost the ability to do that temporarily, and he just shipped it to me. But it doesn't really make a huge difference. I think it makes my detent a little bit stronger, which actually makes the blade fly out a little bit more aggressively, so I don't mind it. It does nothing for the opening and closing action of the knife overall. But I just wanted to highlight some of the differences that are going on, even amongst three servos that were made in relatively rapid succession. Nicos' servo was maybe around number 8 or 9 or something. Mine was only number 13, and then this milling pattern was made after mine was done. So in a very short sequence of time, he has made some rapid developments, and there will be more developments in the future. What I would recommend is, if you're interested in this knife, 100% reach out to Craig. He's available at Instagram at Brown Knives. He's got a website, brownknives.com, and he's a very, very friendly guy. He and his wife, Alex, run a very tight ship, and they're very friendly people, and they're very great to work with, and they're very accommodating. I will say that I constantly changed my mind on what spec I wanted for my knife, and Craig was all too happy to sort of try it out and see what would happen. Now, I can't say he's going to make you this exact knife, but he is willing to try new things. So go ahead and talk to him. I would highly recommend this knife. It's quite amazing. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Click like and subscribe to my channel here, and as always, take care.